I mean, you and I are conservatives. We're of the centre right and probably lean a little bit more to the right than most people. But I don't know about you, but I never meet anyone from the KKK or the Aryan Renaissance Society. So even if Kanye West was aligning himself with fringe racist groups, it still wouldn't be a threat because those racist groups barely exist.
Well, it's the same thing as saying drinking milk makes you a racist. I mean, that's sort of what they tried. The simple truth is this is a debating technique, and a very cheap one at that, because in every civilization you can always find a few crazy radical people, and all they do is go and find them doing something the same as someone they don't like and go, well, if that person's done it, then the whole general population is guilty of the same crime. But we could just as easily do it and say, well, I mean, was it Hitler? He was an environmentalist, right? Therefore, if you're an environmentalist, you were literally Hitler. And that's all it is. I mean, it's so easily proven false by that. The problem is that conservatives never bother to call out these cheap tactics for what they are, which is ludicrous.
Well, speaking about debating tactics, we've just had a debate fest on the weekend. We were both at CPAC in Sydney on the weekend. What was the big takeout for you?
The big takeout is that the conservative movement, the people want to see a conservative movement and a strong conservative movement come forward. And a movement that centres around the old school liberal values as stated, but that the Conservative Party, particularly the leading Liberal Party, needs to learn some lessons from the people who are there, and perhaps before they can go forward, they might want to try apologising for their previous behaviour.
So apologising for endorsing the lockdowns and the border closures?
Apologising for basically either allowing serious abuses of human rights to happen without any protest, or for being the people in charge when those abuses were happening. I mean, there was a lot of discussion saying, well, Daniel Andrews was bad, but I'm sorry, Perrottet wasn't much better if you look at what he actually did in policy and legislation. And as for our Prime Minister, he pretty much just tapped out early on and said, not really interested in trying to lead us through with some human rights and values intact. So that's a big problem.
Well, I think that would be confirmed by the fact that both Tony Abbott and a video message from John Howard received warm applause, if not standing ovations, and Dominic Perrottet, unfortunately, at a Conservative conference in his own city, was mildly booed. So there's got to be a message in there somewhere.
Well, the biggest question people are asking is, this is a Conservative action conference. The Conservative parties are desperate to get back into power. They've been losing ground. And who wasn't there? The leader of the Conservative Party federally. There was no Peter Dutton. He did not give an address, and he absolutely should have been there. And Perrottet, the leader of the state, wasn't there either. The only input that Perrottet had was basically demanding police protection money for the event. And so it's not a good look for Conservatives. They should be leading this charge and embracing their own voters, and more importantly, listening to their voters.
Well said.